Want to be my
Robert
mom?
Mitchell stood at his
Yes,
study
sweetie, I
window,
would love to be your
watching the
mom.
interview process unfold in his living room below. Another nanny, the 15th one this year. His daughter Emma, just 7 years old, sat rigid on the green chair, her small bald head catching the afternoon light. The chemotherapy had taken her hair 3 months ago, but it had taken something far more precious long before that, her smile. Robert was 58 now, a man who'd built an empire in commercial real estate. He could negotiate million-dollar deals in his sleep, but he couldn't reach his own daughter. Not since Sarah died 2 years ago. Not through 14 nannies, countless specialists, or all the money in the world. He'd let those 15 maids go one by one. Not because they weren't competent. They were all perfectly qualified. But Emma had retreated further with each one, building walls that grew higher with every well-meaning, but ultimately ineffective caregiver. This time, something made him pause. The woman sitting across from Emma was different. She wasn't sitting stiffly in her interview suit, maintaining professional distance. Naomi Davis, 29 years old according to her resume, wore a bright orange sports jersey with white stripes and had a blue towel casually draped over her shoulder. Her dark hair fell in natural waves past her shoulders, and her face held an openness that the others hadn't possessed. She wasn't asking Emma questions. She wasn't trying to impress her. She was simply present. Robert watched as Naomi reached into a bag and pulled out a brown wig, long flowing hair attached to a simple headband. She held it up between them, and even from his study window, Robert could see something shift in Emma's expression. "You know what?" Naomi's voice drifted up, warm and unhurried. "I brought something with me today, not for an interview, just because I thought maybe someone here might want to play dress-up." Emma's hands, which had been clenched in her lap, slowly uncurled. "My little sister lost her hair when she was about your age," Naomi continued, her voice carrying a gentle honesty that made Robert lean closer to the window. "She was so sad about it. So one day, we had what we called a hair party. We tried on all kinds of wigs and silly hats. We took pictures. We laughed until we cried. She placed the wig gently in her own lap, running her fingers through it thoughtfully. She taught me something important," Naomi said. "She told me that hair doesn't make you beautiful. Being yourself makes you beautiful. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun trying different looks, right?" Emma was staring at the wig now, really looking at it. Robert held his breath. "Would you like to try it on?" Naomi asked, her voice soft. "No pressure, but if you do, I'd love to help you." The silence stretched. Robert's heart ached watching his daughter struggle with something so simple. Since the cancer diagnosis, since losing her mother, since the endless parade of treatments and well-meaning strangers, Emma had stopped being a child. She'd stopped playing, stopped laughing, stopped hoping. Then, so quietly, Robert almost missed it. Emma nodded. Naomi's face lit up, but she didn't make a big production of it. She simply moved to kneel beside Emma's chair, treating the moment with the reverence it deserved. Slowly, gently, she placed the wig on Emma's head, adjusting it carefully, smoothing the hair down with tender attention. "There," Naomi said softly. "You look absolutely beautiful. Want to see?" She pulled out her phone, switching it to camera mode so Emma could see her reflection. Robert watched his daughter's face, watched her raise tentative fingers to touch the long hair, to feel it swing against her shoulders. And then it happened. Emma smiled. It wasn't a big smile. It wasn't the uninhibited grin she'd worn before the world became so heavy. But it was real. It was there, a small, genuine curve of her lips that transformed her entire. Robert felt his throat tighten. His eyes burned. When was the last time he'd seen his daughter smile? Really smile? He found himself walking down the stairs without conscious decision, drawn by something he couldn't name. As he entered the living room, both Naomi and Emma looked up. "Daddy!" Emma's voice held a note he hadn't heard in so long. "Look! Look at my hair!" She stood up, turning so the wig hair swung around her, and Robert felt his carefully constructed composure crumble. He knelt down, opening his arms, and Emma ran to him. She actually ran to him. "You're beautiful, sweetheart," he whispered, holding her close. "So beautiful." Over Emma's shoulder, he met Naomi's eyes. She was smiling too, but there were tears on her cheeks. She understood. This wasn't about a wig or a game. This was about reaching a little girl who'd been lost in grief and pain, about reminding her she was still allowed to be a child. "I'm sorry," Naomi said, wiping her eyes. "I don't usually cry at interviews." Robert stood, keeping Emma close to his side. "When can you start?" Naomi blinked. "I'm sorry? The job is yours, if you want it," Robert said, not because of this moment, although God knows it's more than anyone else has managed, but because you saw my daughter, not her illness, not her loss. You saw Emma. The months that followed changed everything. Naomi didn't try to replace Sarah. She was wise enough to know that was impossible and wrong. Instead, she created a new kind of relationship with Emma, one built on honesty, creativity, and genuine care. She brought coloring books and board games. She read stories in silly voices. She taught Emma to bake cookies, letting her make a glorious mess of the kitchen without fussing about cleanliness. She took her to the park, pushing her on swings, building sandcastles, doing all the simple, ordinary things that had seemed impossible for so long. On the hard days, the chemotherapy days when Emma was sick and weak, Naomi sat beside her bed, reading quietly or just holding her hand. She never pretended it wasn't hard. She never offered empty platitudes. She simply stayed. Robert watched his daughter come back to life, bit by bit. The smiles became more frequent. Laughter returned to the house. Emma started drawing again, taping her pictures to the refrigerator like she used to do for Sarah. One evening, Robert came home to find Naomi teaching Emma to dance in the living room, both of them giggling as they attempted some complicated steps from a video. The wig was long gone now. Emma wore a colorful beanie that Naomi had helped her pick out, but she was moving with a freedom she'd lost. "Mr. Mitchell," Emma called, "come dance with us." Robert, who hadn't danced since his wedding 20 years ago, found himself unable to refuse. He joined them, letting Emma take his hands, following her lead as she spun and laughed. Later, after Emma was in bed, Robert found Naomi in the kitchen, cleaning up from dinner. "Thank you," he said simply. Naomi looked up, surprised. "For what?" "For giving me my daughter back." She shook her head gently. "She was always there, Mr. Mitchell. She just needed someone to remind her it was okay to be happy again, to be a kid again." "Still," Robert insisted, "what you've done—" "I had 15 other people here, qualified people, good people, but none of them saw what you saw." Naomi was quiet for a moment, drying her hands on a towel. "My sister, the one I told Emma about, she didn't make it. She was 9 when we lost her." Robert felt his heart clench. "I'm so sorry. It taught me something, though," Naomi continued, her voice steady despite the pain in her eyes. "It taught me that the time we have matters more than how much time we have. Those maids you let go, they probably would have kept Emma safe and fed and on schedule. But Emma doesn't need someone to manage her illness. She needs someone to help her live despite it." The wisdom in her words struck Robert deeply. He'd spent so much energy trying to control the uncontrollable, trying to fix what couldn't be fixed, that he'd forgotten the most important thing, letting Emma be alive, not just living. 6 months later, Emma's cancer went into remission. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Her hair began to grow back, soft and downy at first, then thicker. But even before the medical good news, Robert had already witnessed the most important healing. Emma was herself again, a bright, spirited 7-year-old who loved to dance and draw and play. She still had sad moments, times when she missed her mother with an ache that would probably never fully go away. But she also had joy again. Naomi stayed on, though she was far more than a nanny now. She was family. She ate dinner with them. She joined their weekend outings. She listened to Robert's worries late at night when Emma was asleep, and the fear crept back in. "You know," Robert said one evening, the 3 of them sitting on the back patio watching fireflies, "I thought I needed someone to take care of Emma. But what we really needed was someone to care about her. There's a difference." Naomi smiled, glancing at Emma, who was chasing fireflies with the pure, unself-conscious delight of childhood. "She makes it easy to care." "So do you," Robert said, and meant it. Looking back, Robert would think of that afternoon often, the moment he'd stood at his window, ready to give up, ready to accept that maybe his daughter was lost to grief and illness. the moment Naomi had walked into their lives with a simple wig and an open heart. He'd let go of 15 maids, each one perfectly capable. But Naomi had offered something that couldn't be listed on a resume or taught in training. She'd offered her whole self, her pain and her joy, her experience and her hope, her presence and her love. And in doing so, she'd given Emma permission to be whole again too, as he watched his daughter dance in the twilight, her laughter ringing out. Across the yard, Robert understood something profound. Healing doesn't always come from medicine or expertise. Sometimes it comes from connection, from someone who sees you, really sees you, and chooses to meet you where you are. Sometimes it comes from someone who knows that a smile isn't just a smile. It's everything. And sometimes, all it takes is the right person, at the right moment, with a wig and a towel and an open heart, to change the entire world.